Welcome to our lesson on Microsoft Excel, Excel Online, part of Office 365's productivity suite. So in this lesson, we want to have a look at some of the basics. So we've introduced how the environment looks like in our previous lesson. In this one, we want to just look at typing in some details into the cells. So let's say, for example, we want to set up a simple spreadsheet to store student marks. So at the top here, we're going to be putting in cell A1 the student name. So simply click there and type name, move to the next column, and let's put in the marks. So let's say they're going to have a test 1, a test 2. So those are the two columns. If you want to go back and change something, you can just simply go onto the cell, click on it. You'll notice at the top here, you can click up there and you can change whatever the value is. So again, now that's wrong. I can click on it. Two ways. I can either click on the top there and change the value, or you can actually also just change it on the cell by double clicking on the cell. So make that test 1. So we've got a name and test 1 and test 2. Now the name column is not really going to be long enough. So if we have someone with a really long name like Supercolor, Fragile, whatever it may be, you can see that it is overflowing into the next column. Now this is something that's very important to understand. Even though this is overflowing into the next column, it is stored in column A2. If I go into this column, notice at the top there is nothing there. There's no GILR sitting there because it is stored in column A1. There is nothing in this column. If I have to type something into this column, notice what happens. So let's put a test mark in there, 60. You will see that this one has now become cut off. It has become truncated because it can't display into the next column because there is a value there. So immediately I can see, well, that column is not wide enough. So how do we widen our columns? Quite simple. Go to the top of the column and move your pointer until you see it changes shape. You'll see it's become like a cross with a two-headed arrow on it. So I'll do that again. Go to the top of the column, move it carefully until you're on the edge of the column. And then all you need to do is when you're on the edge of that column is wait until your pointer changes shape and then click and drag to the right and you will see it starts to widen. It's telling you there it's at 15. When you let it go, the column will be wider. So now that column is now wider, we can see that that name will fit in. So you can adjust any of your columns. So I could adjust my test mark column and make it wider if I like. You can, if you want, adjust multiple columns at the same time. So let's say we had 3 here and we wanted all of these to be the same width. Click on the first one, hold down the shift button and click on the second and the third. All of those columns have now been highlighted. Now when you drag the slider, all of them are going to go to the same length. So if we wanted them all to be whatever it might be, let's make them 6, and they are all going to be adjusted to that length. So that's one way to adjust all of your columns to the same length. So adjusting columns, very simple. All you need to do is drag at the top whenever you see it changes its shape. So let's put a couple of names in here. Now if you want to overwrite someone, as I said, you can either highlight the cell and delete it, function, or just hit your delete button, or if you simply type over it, let's put Fred here, hit enter, you'll see it has been replaced. So the next one, I can just type in some names. Quite simple. Every time you hit enter, it moves down to the next cell, or you can use the arrow keys to move around. So entering names is relatively simple. Just enter them all, keep hitting enter, and you will move down. So there we've got a couple of people's names in here, and we can put in some marks, whatever their marks may be. Right. Now we can continue doing that. But again, it sort of looks like we could need to make it stand out a little bit more because we could get confused by this first row, which is actually the headings and the data. So what you can do is you can obviously bold this. So what we can do, there are two ways we could do it. We could just bold one at a time. I could click on that, go to the top where it says B, that's for bold, hit B, and you'll notice the name is now in bold. If you wanted to bold the entire first row, a quick way to do that is go onto the left where the row number is, row 1. Click it, you'll notice it's highlighted the entire row. And now if I hit B, everything becomes bold in that row. So now the whole row is bolded and it stands out a little bit better. So that is some of the real simple basics: moving around, widening your columns, adjusting their columns, and changing what things look like. So what do you think you would do if you wanted to take the first row and make it slightly bigger? Right, again, quite simple. Click the first row. Instead of choosing bold, which we've already got chosen, we could make it italics as well if we like. We can change the font. This drop down shows you all the fonts that you've got available. But let's just say we're happy with the font. We just want to make it slightly bigger so it stands out. How about making it 14-point size? And so there we go. That really stands out. So those are some simple basics about setting up your spreadsheet. In the next lesson, we'll take it a little bit further. We start to see the real power of Microsoft Excel.